You actually thought it was a serious Sam 3 video, didn't you? How could I ignore the fact that the idea of Freddy Fazbear existed for a whole decade? I mean, it's totally not like I own all the games on Steam. Totally not the case. Anyways, I'm here to show off what I think is probably the most interesting thing to come from the FNaF anniversary celebration so far, and that is the Joy of Creation remake. So about that, turns out when you're making a video, you should probably think forward in the future, especially when you're given a schedule of what the hell is happening this week. And, during this part of production of the video, 5 Laps at Freddy's' demo released, and oh my god, it is, So I actually want to start off with the positive of this game, and that has to be the presentation. I mean, for a demo, I can understand it not having the full fidelity of what the final game's going to be, but all in all, the game looks great, and I love the 3 courses' main themes. However, that's really where I can give most of my compliments. There's a lot of issues with this game. Now, when you're playing like a racing game that's meant to be themed after something like Mario Kart, you would expect acceleration to be on, like, I don't know, the A or B button, you know, something like that. It's on left trigger. And then you think to yourself, oh, that's not a problem, you know, okay, I can just go through and change the controller settings, right? Whenever you change a single controller setting, everything else goes back to default. And no, I'm not accidentally hitting back to or reset to default or anything. It's just setting everything back to the default values. And this is a bad thing because I had to rebind all the controllers to act like, you know, like Mario Kart with the A being acceleration, B being item, you know, all that stuff. But in the game, A is automatically set to stuff like turbo, and B is like some weird other thing. I think that actually no, I think that's the default. I don't know, but it just completely, the controls destroy itself. And I mean, it would be fine, you know. I mean, you know, just rebind the controllers. That's no big issue. The physics of this game, though, the best way I can describe them is like if you're playing Twisted Metal, but constantly with the turbo button being held down. Which is funny, because there literally is a turbo button in this game. I don't know what it is, but drifting just feels so stiff and unfun. I know it's meant to be, you know, its own thing, but really they should just try and copy Mario Kart 8's style, because that's, in my opinion, one of the best drifting controls for a kart game like this. Not to mention, the only 3 karts in this demo are literally super hard handling, super easy handling, and middle-of-the-road handling. There's like 0 difference aside from maybe speed. And the worst part is, the coolest looking car, the Midnight Motorist, you know, not to be confused with the track name, because that's a great idea, naming a kart after a freaking name. Anyways, it handles horribly. It's god-awful, and especially when mixed with like a heavyweight character, and I don't even know why they're introducing stuff like that in a demo. Like, wow, barring people off from playing as their favorite character because it plays like shit. Great idea, guys. Okay, that's enough of really talking about negatives. I kind of want to get into this game's mechanics because despite all of the other issues I have with this game, at surface level, it's okay. It has a lot of work to be done, though. Obviously, as I stated before, handling kind of sucks. The best character and kart combination I found was a lightweight character with the standard kart. I was able to get, like, first place on most of the tracks. Totally, you know, not taking advantage of bugs with that, though, because, you know, totally a great idea when characters just start clumping together in the middle of the final level. Great idea, Click Team. Sure do love your production of this game. Now, despite how shallow of a Mario Kart clone this game seems to be, it's worth noting that there's pretty interesting mechanics in it. Obviously, it has a power-up system. However, said power-up system allows you to actually hold 2 in reserve and switch between the 2. Now, I never actually had 2 power-ups at one time, or at least in a way that I was able to switch between the 2, because it's not that hard to just throw them out immediately. Not to mention, the game's power-ups are just basic, oh, okay, this is what I shoot at players, this is how it makes me go fast, this is the blue shell of the game. However, the game also introduces a clock system. If you look at the very top of the screen, you'll see a little clock, and when it reaches 12 p.m., that means you're in night shift mode, or 12 a.m., or whatever. And it kind of plays like Five Nights at Freddy's, where you have like an animatronic chasing after the people in the lower brackets. However, by the 3rd level, when I was able to get in first place, not once did the thing chase after me. So they definitely should probably make it to where it's chasing after the people in first rather than the people in last. The other thing about the animatronic is that it actually has like a whole jump scare and stuff. It's meant to be like a weird replication of how Five Nights at Freddy's plays like normally without the Mario Kart stuff. It's pretty interesting. I don't hate it. Okay, so all in all, 5 laps at Freddy's, it's okay. It's got a lot of work to do. This is a demo that is like out before a year before it's released, so I'm sure all of the complaints I addressed are probably going to get, fixed, but still, it's got a long way to go. And now, finally for what people are finally wanting from this video, the joy of creation. This game has to be probably my favorite part of the entire anniversary so far. Obviously, hearing that Dead by Daylight and Five Nights at Freddy's are finally collabing was nice. The whole hype around the collab, if anything, is just something I don't think will ever be replicated again in a similar manner. But the joy of creation is probably the highest quality thing to come from the entire announcement, aside from the Jim Henson Creature Shop teasers for the second movie. The joy of creation is honestly probably one of the most interesting topics to talk about, and it could be its own video, but in layman's terms, basically, the joy of creation follows Scott Cawthon and his family, yeah, that's right, the main creator of FNaF, as he fends off some weird demonized version of the main characters from the games. And I think it's probably one of the most interesting things because it somehow combines the Office gameplay of Five Nights at Freddy's 1 through 3, but with a weird mix of Fours mechanics and also some free roam stuff. I don't know. I've really had not much experience with the regular version of Joy of Creation before the remake, but if the Office demo is anything to go based upon, I am excited for how the rest of the game's going to turn out. So the main gameplay loop of the Joy of Creation is you have to use the main 3 cameras in order to find Freddy and use your flashlight on him a total of 12 times. Now, to maintain the fact that you're just only doing one simple task, you have to deal with the 3 other animatronics, Ignited Bonnie, Ignited Foxy, and Ignited Chica, while also maintaining your power by looking through fuses through different drawers and cabinets. Now, I think probably the most interesting thing that this game does is the fact that you could real easily speedrun the game, but it hinders you from doing so by properly balancing the different mechanics, because Foxy, you have to look at him in the cameras and stare into his eyes. Bonnie, you just avoid him if he's on the camera. If you shine your light at him, he'll punch you directly in the face. And if you look at him with the camera, he'll destroy your camera and you have to put the fuse in the different camera slot on the breaker panel. And for Chica, you have to look around the entirety of your office in different drawers and stuff and use your flashlight to flash the different cupcakes that show up in there. And to make it even more difficult, your flashlight has limited power that'll run out eventually if you just keep on using it, making Ignited Chica probably the most annoying to deal with, especially combined with Foxy or even Bonnie in some cases. Okay, so I have something to admit. Throughout the entirety of my playthrough of the demo, I was not able to beat it. And the reason why is because I got one really stupid death. And it caused me to lose all hope of actually beating the demo. If I go back and beat it, I'll probably update it in the description, but I have to admit that I did not beat it. But it's still a great demo. It's free. Go check it out. There's other demos too. Obviously, 5 Laps at Freddy's. Into the Pit released early. Yeah, I guess that's really all. I don't know.